we've had this conversation before, but for the audience, there are several modalities that, Big Pharma tried to close up, and we have a new Secretary of Human Health who has obviously opened up the door for all of them for us, and at a more reasonable pricing than we would typically get before.
Right.
And I would be remiss if I don't ask you this question. All of those have less side effects. That's why they would be more prevalent to use first.
Right.
Obviously, the money won't dictate that particular way. So my question comes to you this particular way. What side effects have you seen?
Well, there's no real true counterindications if we're talking about psilocybin alone. Again, with the different type of psychedelics in its entirety, there's different nuances, right? And again, why we also have a very clinical database where someone comes to us, tell us all your medications that you're on. It's very thorough in the process and working with us and with
in other words, can counteract with your body chemistry based on what you're currently taking.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and also again getting deeply to that why, but where we're not going to recommend something ever to somebody that would be harmful, right? Because a whole other segment is the intercellular testing, that we're doing to see this whole person in this way, again, to see him optimized. So
Stop. I'm going to make you elaborate on that.
Oh, no.
I want to. No, because I was very impressed when I saw that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about genetic testing, food sensitivity testing, what you're doing on the back end on that. Because please, I'm asking you to plug it only because I was so impressed about how you're doing that and the pricing you're doing it with and how. Go.
It's radical. It's radical root cause of people's symptoms, no matter what they are. The people don't understand. Okay, so for instance, I was vegan, don't laugh at me, for 18 years, okay, once upon a time, right? I was vegan for 18 years. And here, I would be eating hummus, carrots, and celery every single day. Love. Everyone say I've never met a salad I didn't love. I love salads. And so here I'm eating hummus, celery, and carrots every single day. And then I do my own testing, right? I order the labs and I do my testing. Come to find out that chickpeas, hummus, celery, and carrots all are inflammatory for my body. Yeah. As well as aspirin, right? So even though I'm not I don't take aspirin every day, but here's an example of labs we just ran on someone who's 61 years old, and a gentleman, and looking to be optimized, right? He's a type 2 insulin-dependent diabetic. And aspirin comes up as highly inflammatory, severe inflammatory for him on his testing. And his cardiologist tells him every single day, take a baby aspirin.
Yeah.
Which is the go-to. That it's, and I understand why. But even when we talk about things like red yeast rice, which is great for cardiovascular health, or ashwagandha. That I also took for a decade, and it was inflammatory for my personal cells. So when we understand that every single time we're ingesting something that can cause inflammation to our cells, which are then going to divide and split, and then causes this burst in the intercellular way, that creates inflammation, however that looks to that person and that individual in the body, right? Autoimmune disorders to memory, concentration, brain fog, eczema, psoriasis, IBS, Crohn's, celiac, a host of different things that can occur, and it's what we're putting in our bodies.
Forgive me, there's certain diagnoses, and IBS would be one of them. It's just a lazy diagnosis.
It's a blanket term.
Oh God, it's a lazy diagnosis.
It's a blanket term, like ADD, a blanket term of things, but we can get to the root cause of why. It's literally your blueprint decoded.
The best part I love of what you're doing is you broke it into packages like this, right? So if I have an inflammatory response, in other words, one of the group of markers is with C-reactive protein, right?
Yeah.
I right away, and is it EWR, ERW?
One.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Super. Yeah. So we're doing it on the internet, right? If my numbers are off the charts, we have to go look for a deeper dive.
Right.
Right? So right away, I'm now looking for a cause rather than an effect. So once I'm treating the cause, here we go.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of I'm reacting downstream. In other words, I had a show in the first show discussing blood work. Mm-hmm. And in the blood work, we talked specifically about the 16 markers your primary is testing for.
Yeah.
Okay. By the time it's downstream, you're in a host of trouble.
Right.
So
yeah,
those
it's treating
markers
a
upstream give me an opportunity to respond right away.
Right. Yeah, we don't treat symptoms. We treat and get to the root cause of why you're having that symptom to begin with and how we can reverse it. I mean, to be able to take people, like I said, that are diabetics, insulin-dependent diabetics, and have been their whole lives, let's say, because maybe their mom had gestational diabetes or whatever the cause might be, or even recently came upon this, and be able with certain labs and certain knowledge and taking out all of the guesswork to be able to then slowly allow this person to come off insulin and reverse type 2 diabetes. This is radical. Radical.
How many people walking around with type 2 diabetes currently know it's reversible?
That's a really valid question. And I think I really come across people that are very black and white about it, that are diabetics, that either go, there's no way, there's no way it's possible. This is just something I'm going to live with. It is what it is. And others that are like, I feel like it is, but it's too much, it's too difficult to know what is the cause of it. I've journaled it before and I don't know what's causing XYZ for me.
The problem I have and why I have a show like this and what I want to develop is the thought pattern that it's not. Because the truth is, between you and me, I'd be dead. If that was my thought pattern and I accepted everybody's, I'd be dead.
Legitimately.
Legit.
Yeah.
So when we go through the pattern, I need the audience to first know it's possible. And then I'm looking for, let's look for a system on how to do that.
And oftentimes when it comes specifically to the labs, is that people are coming to us saying, I've gone to doctors for 6 years. I've been to doctors for a decade and no one can tell me what's wrong. No one can help me with what's going on with me. These are all the symptoms that I have. I've been told I have 4 different autoimmune disorders. And yet, actually, after we do our clinical intakes and understand it,
was one underlying cause.
well, it's like I can honestly look at them and say, you don't have to live this way. We are going to get to your root cause of the why. And then, and somebody recently said to me after all their labs with us, and they said, now I finally understand that knowledge is power. And I said, I want to take that a step further for you and say that really the knowledge is empowering, because it's giving that individual the knowledge of them then making that decision, and then them taking action on how to reverse their health conditions and be optimized. And that's my passion, and all of ours. I mean, we have an incredible team, and each and every one of us just wants to see people, I guess it's really taking sovereignty over their own health.
They'll talk about in the medical industry right now, informed consent. That is your informed consent. You know, you have the right to suffer on the floor. I'm good with that. But I might choose another option. So if I want to choose another option, what's the path to get there? What do I have to sacrifice to do that? Even if it is chickpeas.
Even if it is chickpeas. You know, I had someone who's 31 years old came to me diagnosed with a cancer, and he said, I don't understand. I've lived basically a holistic lifestyle my whole life. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, never have. And yet I was diagnosed with cancer and I'm really confused why. And so he wanted to go through the labs to figure out how, again, what would be right for him. And here it was like spelled out that you can be feeding your body every day. You know, he said to me, here, I'm eating salmon and asparagus all the time thinking that's great for me, and yet his labs were showing the opposite. So if you keep doing the damage to your cells that way, inevitably something's going to show up. But if you don't have the knowledge, it's like it's not your fault, right? The system isn't created this way. The current system isn't created this way.
Now, last part, genetic testing.
Yeah. So we do a lot with people that come to us with this blanket term, right, of IBS, but we can also test for celiac and Crohn's. So people don't know that if you don't inherit the genes from both parents,
Right.
you can so it would have to be passed down from each parent for you to actually have a medical diagnosis, a positive for Crohn's, positive for celiac.
Right.
So you can hear, I have gluten intolerance, or I have a gluten-free diet, or I have celiac, but have you really tested for it? But then you can take that part of the testing and compare it to your other antigen leukocyte testing, right?
Antigen testing,
And say, yeah, it correlates. It's all here. So, for instance, I know that I inherited the genes from both my parents for celiac. If I don't follow a gluten-free diet, I unequivocally will be in full-blown celiac disease at some point if I don't follow.
I think you'll evolve into, right, you'll activate the gene enough.
It will 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all there. But if you don't know that,
Right.
you don't know that.
Now, even a little bit of gluten, do you get the brain fog and the joint pain and all this
It's
stuff?
terrible for me.
Yeah, yeah?
I
Okay.
feel it right away. Yeah.
You know, I tend to want to recommend a gluten-free diet for 100% of the people, but 55% of the people in the United States will never have a reaction to gluten. But I got to be honest, if you have even an autoimmune symptom, and let me just say it like this. Let me say it like this. For instance, my sister has the antibodies for lupus, but she does not have lupus.
Right.
That's still an autoimmune reaction.
Right.
Therefore, she should be going gluten-free 24/7.
That's correct. Especially here, too. Especially
especially here.
in our
Okay.
country. It's
No,
very different. The gluten is very different.
There's 19 countries in Europe that are non-GMO. So
Right.
there's a gray area between whether I've actually sprayed the crop with Roundup and I haven't, and why they didn't have a gluten intolerance 200 years ago.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Very real.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with him.
Yeah.
So, but let me ask you this. Tell the audience where they can find you.
Well, we're here in Fort Lauderdale. You can check out our website at Lokahi Holistic Healing or Lokahi Sanctuary.org. We're, again, very concierge and really just want to see people optimized in their wellness. So we're all here. We're here, and we're here to be of service, and we're here and doing things truly from the heart space for people.
You know, it's funny. I got into training 17 years ago. And when you sat in the orientation, and shout out to Ryan Utzman, VP at UFC, because he was the one giving that particular day. He went around the room and he asked the question. He said, "Why is everybody here?" And they would all say, "To help people."
Yeah.
I don't always know that we're here to help people.
Yeah.
But every time I hear you say in service to people, it reminds me of what I do and why I do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I really love that about you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I think why, again, we've always been so aligned because we know it's genuine. I mean, in Hawaii, we call this kuleana. This is purpose. This is our purpose.
That's our purpose. I would say the same thing. And one other thing, and since I got you here, thank you for reminding me sometimes family isn't necessarily of your blood.
Yeah, absolutely. We're Ohana. We're family. Yeah.
All right. So, again, one more time, thank you for being here. And I really love this, and I really love this message out there. And I really wanted people, specifically those suffering, to have another option and to see another option. And if that means me stamping my feet and grandstanding to get that particular way, to have that particular way, it is what it is. Okay? I love you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is something you really want to look into. If you are suffering, if you are depressed, if we need a change of direction, if we need an understanding, this is a protocol you really want to go to. If you're having trouble being grounded, being gracious, understanding, or even just physically suffering, look into this option.